It's three musicians living in a house with a basement full of gear. Started as like a therapy session almost, and we might as well keep it going because there's nothing else going on.
Ghost Cult Magazine welcomes in Mike from Boozewa. I hope I said that correctly.
You did. That's absolutely correct.
Awesome, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. And for what it's worth, I'm doing all right.
All right. Happy 2021. It's still
Same to
January.
you.
Thank you. I'm somehow didn't write 2020 on everything so far to start the year.
I did it on two customs forms that I had to send out last week, and then I think that's the only thing that I've messed up so far. But
Right
it's
on,
early.
right
I'll drop something weird in like May. Like,
of course.
1999. What the fuck is
All
wrong
right.
with me?
Time travel by
Yeah, man.
Mental.
I'm John Teeter. I'm everywhere.
Right. Or I think about like I don't know if you were ever a fan of the show Fringe. I was a big Fringe fan because that's my
No, I
genre,
never
sci-fi.
saw it.
And there's
I
a
love sci-fi.
time travel element to Fringe. And very apropos, some sci-fi and time travel and aliens and all kinds of stuff to talk to you about
Yeah.
your new upcoming EP, First Contact from Boozewa. Most people know you from Backwoods Payback.
Yep.
Is this legitimately a full separate band, or is this a side project for you?
I mean, it's legitimately a full separate band. It contains Jess, who's also in Backwoods. And then it actually has our friend Rylan, who was a member of Backwoods, like a decade ago. And we all lived together. And with quarantine of 2020, then you can't see anybody else and you can't do anything else. And, it's three musicians living in a house with a basement full of gear. So it turns into that. And it started as like a therapy session almost. And it's cool. It's fun. So we might as well keep it going because there's nothing else going on.
Be creative. That's
That's
kind
right.
of like, yeah, it's very Melvinsy in a way, not just musically. And I'm sure I suspect you're a big Melvins guy, or you have been.
For sure.
But it's in a way, it's kind of like, oh, we have our old person coming back and we do a different configuration. So but it's definitely a different animal than Backwoods, which,
Definitely.
I'm a fan. We've hung out and I've seen you play live.
Yep.
And this is a different animal. It's definitely a little different flavor. It's definitely groovy. It's definitely sludgy. So I think it's not going to jar anybody that's already a fan, but it definitely has its own thing.
I think that was like so important to do it because I'm playing drums in it, and it's the first thing. The very first Backwoods demo I played everything on and sang, and that's how like the band started. And aside from that, I'd never really done anything with my drumming because I'm not really a drummer. I'm just a dude that has always had a drum set in his house. So when everybody else would leave, I would sit there and mess around on it. So I think that was important to me to kind of, I didn't want this band to sound like a weak Backwoods. I didn't want it to sound like, oh, it's like the stuff that Backwoods wouldn't use, or it's like, oh, it's cool, but it's not as good. I didn't want it to be comparative so much as it's like you said, it's its whole other animal. And like obviously Jess is in it, I'm in it. It's gonna have elements of that, but I'm happy that from what people are telling me when they hear it, that they can see that thread that goes through it, but it's not like, okay, it's just another thing that they're doing.
Of course. And I think it's so important to have other outlets artistically when you have a project that's kind of your baby.
For sure.
And that's not to say that this isn't also your baby, but it's important to have, different things. What are you getting out of Boozewa that you can bring back to Backwoods later? Anything.
Really, vocally is probably the biggest thing that I'm bringing out of it, because I've never had to play drums and sing, and I would say 70% of the songs for Boozewa have vocals, and 30% of them are just instrumentals. But the ones that I'm singing on, I kind of had to like rethink how to play something and sing, because it's not quite the same. I'm bashing the shit out of something instead of strumming. So it definitely made me rethink delivery and melody lines. And I think it would be kind of cool to take some of that elements when Backwoods gets back to doing something, to kind of like incorporate a little bit of that into it and just see if maybe that frees my mind up for something else. Maybe, you know, maybe singing the way that I'm singing in Boozewa occasionally in Backwoods would allow me to play something different than I normally would. It's been fun to break myself out of a box that I feel like I've been in for, you know, almost 20 years.
No, and it's good.
And it's not a bad
you
box.
know,
It's just like I've been
yeah,
doing the
that
same thing, you know.
right, of course. And I think people don't people who are, you know, maybe not band people fans don't maybe appreciate how hard it is to sing and play at all. Being a former band dude myself, and I was a singer first, and then I picked up bass
Mm-hmm.
and guitar poorly, and did that for 20 years to varying success and failure all over the place. And it's like, it's not even the most accomplished people ever at either. It's tough to do both. And a drumming
Yeah,
to me would me just my brain it even has trouble wrapping around it how hard it must be to drum and sing.
it's weird. There have definitely been cases of us writing songs, and I'm writing the majority. I'm not. Another kind of cool thing is I'm not really writing riffs in this. I'm just kind of, Jess and Rylan are just like riff machines, and they work really well with each other, and you know, they're just like nonstop. It seems like every day I hear something from like somewhere in the house, like, oh man, all right, I could do something with that. And I'm very limited in what I'm doing on the drums, but it fits what they're doing. So it's been kind of cool to just be like, I'm just going to put like a backbeat behind this and then figure out, maybe there's words, maybe there aren't, but it's nice to not have to worry solely about that, you know?
Nice. I was just watching the randomly. I was just watching the tour trailer for Genesis that has reunited with Phil Collins, and they're doing like a apparently a tour
I
later this
just read
year.
something. Yeah, I just read something about that.
And he's not playing much drums anymore because he's had some physical problems. But how did he sing and play drums for decades as like a master
Unbelievable.
of both?
Yeah, not basic monosymbolic, you know, blah 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 blah. He's like beautiful, these beautiful melodies, arrangements, vocally, and then you forget that like he's the best drummer. He's doing it all.
Yeah, he's an incredible drummer. I don't know why this is just not apropos of anything I wanted to talk to you about, but since we're just going to talk about Phil Collins for a second, because
We're
fuck it,
ripping.
he rules. And I don't know why he gets so much shit. I understand that he's definitely made some missteps publicly and musically. Tarzan, big thumbs down for me. But like
Right.
what he put down, it's the same thing. It's like certain artists, like, you know, what he put down most of his life is incredible and unfuckwithable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. People
Like
shit on him a lot.
I think people just find it fun to shit on people. I mean, obviously they do, but like that dude's B-side catalog is better than like 75% of people's, you know, number one hit record. So fuck that.
He forgot about like hit songs that he did that like are
Mm-hmm.
like humongous hits, and it's not even about like record sales or popularity. He's an
No.
incredible artist. I think even just what he did alone, you know, as a backup guy in Genesis would have cemented him for life, and then he had this whole other career. So
For sure.
anyway, Phil, let's give it up to Phil Collins.
Yep.
Bourgeois, where did this name come from? And it's definitely encompassing all these weird things that you're tying together. So I
It's
feel like it has a significance. Let me know.
so it definitely was a drunken statement, which is, you know, I'm not ashamed that has greatly or did greatly up our alcohol intake. But I think, like so many of the best things, it was just something that made us laugh. And so we kept saying it. And then friends of ours would hear us say it and they would start saying it. Part of it came from a friend of mine was reading a book, The Raven, about the Jim Jones temple. And I had read it years ago, and he got to this part where the autobiographer or the biographer is explaining that Jim Jones would use the term bourgeois if people like, you don't want to, I don't want to wear these clothes anymore. Like, I want to take a bath. Oh, you're bourgeois. Well, I don't want to be bourgeois, so I'll keep doing, the same thing. Or like, I don't want to eat the same meal 30 days in a row. Well, he's bourgeois. Well, no, I'm not bourgeois. I just don't want to like keep living in filth. So that translated into us saying that we were bourgeois because we were drinking out of like, koozies with our cans, or, we drank like the good tequila, which is like the middle shelf tequila. And then that turned into bourgeois because it was all boozing, and that's it. So now we just yell bourgeois at each other at all hours of the day.
Nice. It's a rallying cry. It's like,
it's a rallying
it could be
cry.
anything.
It's a fun thing. It's something fun to yell.
And it's yours.
What it is.
You made it. That's what's awesome.
Yeah. It's pretty all right.
All right. Fast cars, aliens, robots, like what is the intersection to some of these things? Partying, life.
Yeah, everything that you just said. It's just like the song Black Flag. I love Black Flag. I woke up after one night of partying and jamming, and I have a 4-track, and we just started recording things on the 4-track while we were playing, and on the tape it just said Black Flag with a question mark on it. And I had vague recollections of what we were doing with it, and going back, and we ended up with like 4 or 5 tapes, and that was one of the tapes, and I put it on, and there was just a riff in the song that must have reminded me of Black Flag. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Well, that's the name of the song. That's what it is. And I don't know, a lot of it's just the robots thing and the aliens thing. I've grown up my entire life being obsessed with science fiction and cryptozoology, and I figured instead of trying to pepper that into things like I used to, I'm just going to go balls out and say, this is who I am. This is what we're all about. So it might be funny or it might be corny, but I mean, it is funny and it is corny, but it's out there now. So
that's it.
Yeah.
Live your
Star Trek,
truth.
Star Wars. Yeah, that's right, man.
Everybody live your truth. Here's a good one. I have a few in the pocket here for you. But okay, so Star Trek and Star Wars is like the universal 1, 2. Right. What would be your third sci-fi, space, anything, TV, movie, something?
I mean, Spaceballs. That's like Star Wars.
It's still awesome.
Yeah. So, like, space on its own, the original Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
I definitely grew up with like Starbuck and Twiggy, and I loved that. I loved old Robotech. They're like the early Robotech or the Macross stuff. Now I'm like looking around my room thinking about what else I'm into. The Twilight Zone, which is not necessarily space, but it's super sci-fi and it's super just kind of out there. Outer Limits, actually even more so than the Twilight Zone, because it was a little bit more centered around alien contact and otherworldly adventures. But I would say those would probably be my tops.
Killer. Like Empire is like my favorite movie ever. My second favorite movie ever. And then I love Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone's like my first or second 1A, 1B favorite TV show ever. And there are quite a few space episodes or space related. So awesome stuff, man. Awesome. I had to add, and it's kind of funny. Remember when people who wanted to break into Area 51 was the craziest shit going?
Mm-hmm. What?
Before a pandemic and all this other crazy shit took our lives away a little bit, but
pretty nuts. Before fucking QAnon became like an everyday feature on every major news broadcast in America.
Yeah, oh man. See, to me, I'll just go there. I think we're birds of a similar feather. I'll just go there. I've had people all my life be like, Keefe, you love science fiction and aliens and zombies and monsters and horror movies. why don't you like believe in other things, you know, that they want you to,
Mhm.
the conventional people want you to
Right.
believe in without insulting anybody too bad, like,
Okay.
you know, maniacs and religious nuts and stuff. And it's like, because that shit's more real to me than your
Mhm.
fake book of rules and your crazy guy in the
Yep.
sky. I'd rather, it's more plausible to me that there is intelligent life out there that definitely would not come here to be our fucking friends
Right.
and eat Reese's Pieces with us. They're going to fucking annihilate us with a smile on their face remorselessly in a second. And like,
Or we matter so little on the grand scheme of things, which I think that's what makes people lose their fucking mind, because like we are living on a grain of sand on a beach that is so huge, it's immeasurable to fathom like how small we are, and people can't fucking handle it. But anything else is, I would much rather believe that fucking Yoda exists somewhere on another planet than a white dude with a big beard created me. Get the
right.
fuck out of here.
You better be good or you're going to
Right.
go to the bad place.
Exactly. And guess where the bad place is? It's hot.
Yeah, it's extremely hot.
Yeah.
And it's full of suffering.
Mhm.
I love that you have the baby Yoda, by the way, on the couch behind
Oh,
you.
yeah.
That's
He's
I was doing a subliminal, not right now, but I was doing a subliminal baby Yoda in every interview I had last year. I had like a baby Yoda image in the background, just in everything. But yeah, man,
dude,
first
that
contact.
series changed the game, man. That like they were already on such a swing to make something like as good as that trilogy was for us when we grew up. The Mandalorian, and I'm guessing what's about to happen in the next 2 years in that universe is, I can't wait.
Yeah,
It,
and
it,
I
it makes me wish that I was little again
yeah,
to experience it on that level.
me too. That wonder,
Yeah,
right? That
yeah,
wide-eyed
totally.
wonder. I think also just like the fan, you know, Star Wars fans, much like metal fans, Star Wars fans can be some of the worst people, and you know, or Tool fans, and I love Tool, but like you could be some of the worst people ever to be a
Yep,
fan of anything. And I understand the dismay and the unhappiness about like the Star Wars movies and things in the last few years, but also fucking get a grip. Like
yeah,
these movies
it's a
are
movie
a blessing and a miracle to take
for
us away
sure.
from pandemics and the hardships
Yep,
of life and people in power who believe in QAnon and crazy shit like that. And
yep,
you know, there's actually like clans people who are now Congress people who believe in
yeah.
QAnon. It's like, okay, we have a fucked up world, and I need to like look at Baby Yoda for a second
Mhm.
and smile, or think about Boba Fett and enjoy that shit
Yep.
to
I
take
need
me
to
out
wonder
of
where the
my
dark saber is.
exactly, so I get over my depression. You know, like that's what's going on for
I'm
real.
with
Just
you
have some real talk.
1000%.
Some real talk, just like that's what I need to escape, and also
Yep.
riffs and metal and other things, some substances and liquids. But anyway, so yeah,
Put it
no,
all
but
in a
yeah,
big pot.
put it all out there. Yeah, but first contact, man, kind of like, you
Yes.
know, sums this up, I think, for you guys. And I'm here for it, man. I want to hear more of this. This
Thank
is a
you.
great. It comes out next week, right?
Yep.
And
Next Friday.
great February 5th, and a great first thing for you guys. And I hope there's going to be more of it. I appreciate that you're even putting music out during this period of time, because there's a lot of people who are like, I can't do it. They feel, and I'm not harshing anybody.
No.
I think it's understandable. Some people just feel like crippled. Their career is in jeopardy. What's going to
100%.
happen? You know, it could stifle your creative juices. And also the business part of it could sour you on, you know, I think some bands are not going to DIY to the biggest bands in the world. I think some bands are not going to survive this shit.
I unfortunately think the same. And I mean, it's sad. It's crushing. It's crushing on every level. So many of my friends work in the industry, either their bands or their management or their agents, or they run venues, they book, they're bartenders, they're sound engineers. Like everyone is fucked. Like my gig when I'm not doing music stuff is I work for another guy doing music stuff. So I had an entire year's worth of touring planned that I had like built, my life around, and then Backwoods stuff on top of that. Jess is a florist. She had an entire year's worth of weddings and everything's done. So I personally sat in a very, very, very dark place for a considerable amount of time, like 5 months of just, I can't pick up a guitar. I don't want to listen to music. I don't want to write. There's nothing in here. It's just, it's gone. And I think that's what made the Boozewa thing so special, that it just kind of happened. And it really has been like, not to put it, higher, it's a band. It's three people playing music, but it has definitely been a lifesaver. It's hard. And I didn't know that we were going to put a record out. I didn't know that we were going to record anything. And so it was just kind of like, well, we're playing, let's do that. And then I was like, well, I have this 4-track. Let me reteach myself how to do that. And then Jess said, well, let me reteach myself how to screen stuff. And Rylan said, well, I kind of, let me like figure out how to put this shit back together, and like all the broken things, and like I'll fabricate some stuff for your drums. And it was cool. It was like the three of us kind of refinding ourselves individually to be a part of this thing that we were going to be together, instead of just getting drunk, miserable in our living room, watching the same movies over and over again, because we really felt like doing nothing else. Everything that we had planned was gone, just like the majority of the world. So it's not a woe is me thing, but it is a super important thing for us. And it's, I'm hopeful that other people are doing the same thing, and maybe we just don't know about it. So that when we're all able to like come out and see each other and play shows and, be together again, that maybe there's this whole new crop of things that, have been growing for a year, and it's almost time to harvest it.
Right on. And also, again, anybody who's like, I just want to drink and not do anything and I can't,
there's nothing wrong with that.
We're here for you.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
DM me if you want to vent
all day long. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
everyone has to cope how they cope.
It's impossible. It's impossible. A lot of people are suffering, and it's all good. Nobody's judging. And I'm just, I'm glad you guys were able to find some positivity through this. And I'm going to say this EP is a lot of fun. I would expect nothing less from you than something fun, but I like how fun it is. I'm obviously having a lot of fun with you right now. I had a lot of fun listening to this EP.
Cool.
I think that's what people are going to take away from that. The fun.
I hope so, because we had fun making it, and we're still having fun getting to talk about it now, and getting excited to show people. It's fun. It's good to have fun,
right?
Yeah,
it's okay to have fun too.
It's okay to have fun.
It's okay. Nobody's judging you,
Nope.
And if anyone out there is judging, just kind of fuck off, with that shit. What else is going on with you? What's on the horizon? Are you working on new Backwoods stuff? I guess that was in the works too.
Yeah, I mean, like we had shows and stuff in the works. We were gonna demo some stuff. Eric lives in Richmond, Virginia. We live in Pennsylvania, so that kind of put the ixnay on that. He actually decided in the middle of everything that he was just gonna stay in Richmond. So we don't really have a full-time drummer right now. We have a lot of people in the area that will fill in for us, and some friends that will demo with us, but I don't really know. I have no idea what's happening with anything. It's kind of like everything is up in the air. So if we get offers to do stuff when things open up, then we'll figure them out. If we don't, then we'll write a record and find somebody else to jam. And, I get it. There's no hard feelings to anything. It's just, it is what it is. This is the world. This was that year. So
yeah.
The band has been together for, close to 20 years. It's not going anywhere. It's there's never going to be a shortage of songs coming out of here eventually, sometimes.
Right.
But yeah.
Anything else tickling your fancy? Read any good books lately? Watched any good movies? Got any new action figures? I see the shelf behind you.
Oh yeah. So I have actually been selling off the majority of my collection, which is like a sad note, but it is what it is. So I haven't really gotten anything new. We just watched, and we're so fucking late to the game, but we just watched the entire season of Mythic Quest. It's on Apple TV. We watched the entire season yesterday, and it's Mac and Charlie from Always Sunny created this series about a video game programmer, and Sweet D directed some of the episodes, and Charlie's like a big writer in it, and Rob is a real big writer in it, and it's been awesome to like watch this as somebody that doesn't really play video games and doesn't understand it, and it got us like hype, like, yo, we should start playing video games, man. I want to like join some culture that I don't understand and like be a part of it. That's pretty much the only like TV thing that I've watched. Books wise, I'm right in the middle of one of those 33 and the Third. Have you they're like
I love those, yeah.
Creation books. So I'm right in the middle of the Teenage Fan or Daydream Nation.
Okay.
The Sonic Youth one, which is pretty awesome so far. I'm actually listening to that on Audible for the first time. I've never had an Audible account, but everybody that I know has one, so they finally bullied me into like, listen to a book. I read books. I can't help it. Trying to think of any.
We have nowhere to drive to listen to books on tape anymore. No, but okay, we can do books on tape.
When the weather was warm, I was listening to like a lot of podcasts when I was mowing, because we have like a bunch of fields and stuff that I mow. So I was doing that, and that was pretty cool. But yeah, there's no real joy in just like, well, I'll walk to the kitchen. Listen to it.
Right. I'm a big podcast person. I listen to a lot of music. I feel like it's funny that you said there's a lot of fields around where you are. I feel like you're in like a no man's land west of Pennsylvania, like west of Philly. That's like Pennsylvania kind of. No offense. But
no, none taken. So it's like it definitely turns into Pennsylvania in like another 10 miles. But we're still in it. You know, we're still close enough to the electricity and the main roads.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's cool. So many bands would come stay here, and I would like give them my address and be like, look, you're gonna think that you're going the wrong way. You're not. Just keep going. Like there's no lights, there's nothing. You can kind of see houses. You'll see a white picket fence. I'm the creepy driveway past that one. So don't go up that one. But so many bands would call me like, I think we're lost, man. I don't know where we are. I'll go out, walk down the driveway. Like, I think I see you. Keep driving a little bit farther. Donnie and Thor would constantly, they would like drive past my house and then turn around and then drive back and then miss it again and then turn around and drive back. But yeah, we're not like super deep. We're definitely not in like the middle of nowhere. But
right. I just spent some time. Right. I just spent some time, not quite where you are, but out there a little bit. It is definitely a Night of the Scarecrow vibe sometimes.
Yeah.
To go deep on an old school reference for you, but dating myself horribly. But look up Night of the Scarecrow, everybody. It's if you like creepy, scary stuff from the 80s.
Wonderful.
As wonderful as a terrible story about a revenge story could be, a revenge horror story. But anyway.
As wonderful as like, you go to the video store in 1987 and you're like, man, I got to pick a video. You can't watch a trailer. Nobody could tell you about anything. So you just have to like look at the video boxes and be like, oh, that one. Night of the Scarecrow. I mean, Night of the Living Dead was cool. So the Scarecrow must be good too. Throw that in.
Exactly. Dude, so much fun catching up with you.
Man, it's so good to talk to you.
I am so glad you guys are okay. First of all, and I hope again, I try to say that every time, like a broken record, but I hope that you and your crew and your families are all right, and
you as well.
Yeah, of course. And let's just keep our hopes up and our heads up. And thank you for making this music, and I hope people have the same vibe from it that I got, because I got a lot of fun vibes out of this.
Hell yeah, I'm so glad. Thank you, man.
Thanks for hanging out with Ghost Cult, man. I appreciate you.
Word up. Too sweet.